We always begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we would ask you to remain standing as for the moment of silence. And if you could keep the family of Joe Fusco in mind. Mr. Fusco was very well known and very well respected football coach and professor at Westminster College, and had a tremendous winning record, he and the teams that he coached. He passed away over the weekend, and he was a good man, so the community will certainly miss him. But let's start with the pledge. Commissioner Sonata, could you lead us in the pledge? Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a brief moment of silence. Thank you, everybody. Vanessa, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sinata?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. I'll note that during the course of our meeting, we always have two opportunities for public comment, one in just a few moments, and then one before we adjourn. You're welcome if you have a public comment. We ask that it be related to county government matters. If you're here on a federal matter, we would refer you to your federal representatives. The same would be true if it's a state matter. We'd suggest you talk to your state officials. If it's a municipal, city, borough, township matter, we suggest you talk to those folks. But if it's a county matter, we're certainly open to hearing from you. You're welcome to speak both times. If you only want to speak once, that's fine. Or if you're just here to listen, that's equally fine. We do ask that if you'd like to speak, that you identify yourself and that you try to limit your time to about 5 minutes, if you could, please, out of respect for people's schedule. Hopefully everybody got a copy of the agenda. I think, are there some over there, Vanessa?
Yes.
If you need a copy of the agenda, they're available. Debbie will have a packet for you. Next on the agenda, we always set aside time if any of our row officers have any matters to bring before us. Today, it appears that they don't, because none of them are here. They're not required to be here. Public comment. I'll open it up if anybody has a public comment at this point. Anybody? Hearing none at this time, we'll reopen it before we adjourn, if you do have something you'd like to comment on at that time. Moving on to the warrant registers, which are in our packet. These are the listings of bills that have been paid by the County Controller's Office, and they are dated February 14 and February 20 of this year. Dan and Chris, I'll give you whatever time you need to look them over, and then whenever you've done that, I could entertain a motion for us to accept these documents. I move we accept the documents.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Do either of you have any questions? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call to accept.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. The minutes of last week's commissioners meeting, which was held on February 18, those minutes are in our packet. By the way, all these documents, if anybody wishes to see them, we'll be glad to share them with you. But the minutes, again, Chris and Dan, please look them over, and once you've done so, feel free to make a motion for us to adopt the minutes.
I'll make a motion. Documents.
I'll second. Thank you both. Any concerns or questions? Hearing none, we'll ask Vanessa to call the roll.
Commissioner Sinata?
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have one document in terms of written communications that has come in since our last meeting. It's from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, and it pertains to a Class 1 permit modification / transfer of ownership. The letter, when it was addressed to Commissioner Kennedy, it reads that the Department of Environmental Protection received the referenced application for transfer of ownership of the International Metal Reclamation Company, LLC, permit to American Metal Recycling, LLC. And the facility is located at 1 American Drive in the borough of Elwood City. And this has been signed by Mr. Sean Peters, Environmental Engineering Manager for the Northwest Office of the Department of Environmental Protection. Chris or Dan, any questions on this document?
Dan, is this for a plant that closed?
I believe it is, and it's been purchased.
Yeah.
If I recall, if they went bankrupt or not, I can't quite, is that your recollection? Okay.
You haven't heard anything at all from now? What to start up or what their
No,
plans
it's been a
are?
long time.
So, well, this is a start, hopefully.
Yep, let's hope so. Any other questions? May I have a motion for us to accept this document?
I'll make that.
And I'll second. Thank you both. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Staff reports. We have our Public Safety Director, Chad Strobel, with us. Chad, would you mind coming up? It's always nice to have you, Chad. You don't have anything for us to vote on today, I believe.
No, you just want me to mention our study.
Could you please? So thank you for taking the time to join us.
Good morning, thanks for having me here. In one of our recent meetings, Commissioner Vogler asked me to speak briefly on a study the department, or actually the 911 Center is getting ready to undertake with Mercer County. So we've decided, the commissioners of Lawrence County and commissioners and myself of, commissioners of Mercer, commissioners of Lawrence, and the public safety directors, both Lawrence and Mercer, have spoken and I guess are interested in looking into a feasibility study of merging our two 911 centers as one 911 center or PSAP, public safety answering point in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The price of running a 911 center is ever rising with the way technology comes out and the systems we have to use to properly handle 911 calls and do our jobs at the 911 center level. However, the money coming in is not rising. Over the last couple of years, we did receive an increase of the phone surcharge, which pays probably around now 80% or so of our annual operating budget, from $1.65 to $1.95. But that's, continuously raising that surcharge is not a feasible way to bring money in and keep operating. It's hurting the public. The place is supposed to be helping the public. So with all these points in mind of the rising costs, we decided to look into a study to see what it would take to merge our two 911 centers. Technologically, we can and already do operate as one 911 center. We have a shared computer-aided dispatching system that runs the three counties, or four counties, Butler, Mercer, Lawrence, and Venango County. We all have the exact same CAD system. We have the same phone systems, and very soon here with Mercer's new radio project, we'll share a radio system. So from a technological standpoint, our 911 centers are one 911 center. If something were to happen today that our 911 center went offline, I could send my employees up to Mercer County, they could log in, and there'd be no interruption of service. It'd be like we're working out of our own place, just a different building. However, governance-wise, HR-wise, we are obviously two separate entities with them having a union. Our telecommunicators are currently not in a union, but they're run by Mercer County, we're Lawrence County. So we're just looking into, how this could work, if it would work, if it's even possible. We're very early, not even early in the phase yet. We haven't started it yet. The state has agreed to give funding for the feasibility study. Most likely, we will use Mission Critical Partners, a consultant that works heavily with the public safety agencies around the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and they have a very intimate knowledge of all of our systems. And honestly, merging 911 centers would lose them a little bit of money, so that I don't think they're going to be partial to making money off of this deal. they'd only have one service contract with one of us. But, from a feasibility, looking at it, could it work with that two big counties? I just looked up some surrounding areas. Allegheny County, population 1.2 million, land area 745 square miles, cover 130 municipalities. Butler County, 795 square miles, population 198,413 with 57 municipalities. Lawrence and Mercer combined make up just over 1,000 square miles, combined population of 197,000 people and 75 municipalities. All those counties are run by one single 911 center, Butler and Allegheny. So us merging two would not be a huge 911 center. We'd be kind of on par with Butler County, still way below Allegheny County as far as population, municipalities, departments served. So it wouldn't be a big change. Like, wow, how can you handle all those calls? We're still, on par with everybody else, and so it wouldn't be that big of a deal. What we're looking at with the study is how will it help with cost savings, running one 911 center versus running two 911 centers. So obviously, hopefully running one in one single building with one set of systems, one group of employees would be a cost savings. Both in the county, both counties that have some input from general funds into the state, and how much they put into the 911 center. Looking at how it's going to affect the employees of both 911 centers. There's a lot of people that have multiple years in. We're going to make sure it's not going to mess them up for retirements, for wages, things like that. What seems to be the most logical place to have the facility. We have a brand new facility that the taxpayers graciously funded coming up on 10 years ago now. Mercer County has their own building that their taxpayers are funding. So how's that going to work out with the buildings? How many telecommunicators will we need to cover the shifts? Right now, we run between 3 and 4 a day or at a time, all day, 24/7. I believe they're running upwards of 7. So how can we find that happy medium with enough people to cover both counties and not have to have an excessive amount of telecommunicators in the room? And what would the governance look like? It would have to be some type of board of our commissioners, their commissioners, and consultants brought from interaction from the fire, EMS, and police services to make sure everything is running similar back and forth between the counties. So again, right now it's just an intent to do the study. Or no decisions have been made yet. Nothing has been done yet. But we're looking into a study to see what it would take to merge the 911 centers and have one single 911 center for our two counties. Again, with the funding, I believe, and most of us believe in my position around the Commonwealth, that in the next few years, the state is going to push us to merge. Right now, there's 61 911 centers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and they want to bring that down, mostly for funding, to make that funding more, go further. So if we get on board early, there's a lot of incentives that we could a lot of funding we can get to help that merger process before it's pushed on us where we have to merge, or they're going to cut funding and cut our services. And hopefully this will help us get a lot of technology. It's just not affordable right now to one place. If you look at our phone system, we can have a couple hundred people on our phone system, but we're only running a few counties with it, so we're not using it to the most of its ability. The CAD system, the same thing. We already have that shared CAD system. We can use tons of users, tons of information, but we're only using part of it. So merging all these together, makes better use of the technology we have, and opens up funding to get better technology to help us, perform our duties and serving the public.
Well, Chad, thank you for bringing this to our attention in this formal setting. As you noted, you have approached us informally. Your counterpart in Mercer County, Mr. Giannetti, did likewise with his commissioners. That led to what I would characterize as just some informal discussion amongst the 6 commissioners. No formal decisions were made, but basically just to gauge what our interest might be and to get a little more detail from you folks. And I do have a couple of questions for you. Because I think if we're satisfied this morning, based upon what you've told us and what you'll continue to tell us as we ask you some questions, that could lead us to then formally say to you, move forward with this as it relates to the study specifically. So I gotta pose a few questions to you, and I'm sure my colleagues will as well. And some of this you've shared with us. I just sometimes need to hear things more than once. The two counties, if we formally agree to do so, would apply to the Commonwealth for them to fund the study. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we've had, again, informal conversations with the 911 director from FEMA to see if that is something that would be funding available for it. They said, if we fill out the application, I'll push it through, and they would definitely be interested in funding that study.
Okay. And then, as you noted, there are organizations or companies or firms out there that do this sort of thing, and I believe it would, and we want to double check with the solicitor, but I believe that type of interaction that we would have with an organization that would assist with the study would probably be characterized as a professional service. So we would probably get quotes rather than formal sealed bids, but we probably want to run that past Mr. Medor just to be certain. And I'm sure the state will guide us on that as well. You mentioned, if I heard you correctly, that in the Commonwealth, there are 61 911 centers. So we've got 67 counties. That tells me that there must be already in place some counties in which two or more have gone together. So do you, off the top of your head, know of any, which they might be, any of them?
I know out east, there's a few regional organizations. I can't think of the exact counties that are involved in them, but I know Berks County, Columbia, right? There's a few, but more locally on the western side of the state, Forest County, with their size and small population, they do not currently operate a 911 center. They are, I believe now they go through Clarion County for their 911 center services. So, but there are a few, mostly out on the east side of the state, that have come together with MOUs or mergers.
So if the study reached a conclusion that it would be advantageous for us to merge our operations, we'd be able to look at other parts of the Commonwealth where it's already happened.
Yes.
Okay. Just to be very clear, what you're looking at is 911 only, not the other public safety operations that you oversee and that Mr. Giannetti oversees. Is that correct? This would be specific to 911?
That's correct. The Commonwealth still mandates that every county have an emergency management agency in it, just to cover the planning process, the emergency operations plan, the various COOP plans, the continuing government plan, LEPC, all those functions still have to continue at the county level. However, the 911 center, the mandate, it has to have a centralized 911 center. That's vague. We could do regional. So EMA would stay at the county level. The regionalization or merger would be at the 911 level.
You also referenced, and I had read this in the paper, my understanding is that the county of Mercer, specifically their commissioners, are in the process of floating a bond and to undertake a number of projects that they believe are needed in their county, one of which, and you referenced it, would be the purchase or an upgrade of radios for the various emergency responders in Mercer County. And as you said, similar to what we did 10 years ago, we floated our bond, which did three things. It allowed for the construction of the current building out in Hickory Township. It allowed for enhancement of our communication towers throughout the county. And it allowed for the purchase of radios at that time. So I believe Mercer County is in the process, you confirmed it, that they're looking at that right now. So I'm going to turn it over to my two colleagues, but I guess once we're done asking you the rest of our questions, what you would like from us would be a formal authorization for you to work with Mr. Genetti and with the folks at the Commonwealth level. We may be able to give that formal blessing today. We might want to check with the solicitor to see if he feels it would be prudent for us to ultimately have a resolution so that we have an actual resolution number that we could refer to. And that could always be done as early as next week, I would assume. Now, that's, again, I'll get my colleagues' input on that. I'll reserve the right to ask more questions, but I'll turn it over to Mr. Kennedy for his questions.
I just comment probably more than a question. I know when we talked, you and I, about getting this done, one of the big things that I think I brought up is, you know, when people call 911, I always assumed it went right to Hickory Township. And you said, no, it goes to Philadelphia first and then back to us.
Yeah, we're on kind of a VoIP system. We're on the enhanced or the next generation 911 system, which goes all over. So when you make a call to 911, the first place that call goes to is one of the data centers. There's two in the Commonwealth, one just up in Boyers, Butler County, and one in Philadelphia. The computers at those two data centers, either one takes the information off what they call the MSAG, Master Street Address Guide. It says, okay, this call is in this municipality, it has to go to this number, and then it brings to us. You know, it's all fractions of a second when it happens, but yeah, correct. Everything goes first to a data center, and the data center reads it and says, okay, this is where it's at, we're going to send it there.
Because that's my one concern. People are going to assume that, you know, we're going to lag time going to have joining two counties together, and that's not true.
And even with the copper lines we used before, up until 2 years ago, those went to various network centers through the phone company, through Verizon, AT&T, whoever. They went and they were switched, again, using MSAG information, which shipped to our 911 center. So there's, in a sense, the county assumed control, I believe, in 99, 2000. And with the 911 technology that's come out, having dedicated 3-digit 911 lines, there's been switches in place that goes, and actually one of our big ones was New Jersey. It went out of the state to get switched to come back to our place. So there's always been a switching. I mean, since we got 3-digit 911 lines, there's never been a direct run from the end user to the 911 center.
Really, you know, just do the study and see what it's going to, what it will take, and it's going to work, and we'll look at it. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Sonata.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. I think Commissioner Kennedy said, you know, this is just a study.
Correct.
Okay, we want to see what the options are, and you know, the state's going to pay for it. And you know, I feel at this point, you know, we really have nothing to lose.
Right. This isn't locking us into anything.
Right.
It's not saying, well, we did this study, you have to do this. It's just, you know, what are the pros, what are the cons? Would it work? Would it not work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that, you know, we should look at. I mean, it doesn't hurt us to know and have all the facts that we as a board of commissioners and working with Mercer, which we have a very good working relationship with, you know, we can have that discussion once the study's done. Just a question, are you having issues hiring people?
No, we're at full staffing now as far as full-time. And we just started a training, training academy, a training class of 3 more people to fill in part-time positions. We only have 1 active part-timer right now. So we're doing well. Since we were worked with you all on the salary board a year or so ago to get those raises, we've retained
last year when you came before us, we were having issues, we couldn't keep people and
Right.
and we were very concerned about public safety. So the action we took a year ago has pretty much paid
It has.
dividends and got us the response we wanted.
The only people we've lost were more voluntary separations, and we haven't had anybody jump ship to go to another county or go to another agency.
Sure.
That we've been retaining, and
Yeah, we wanted to keep good trained people, they do a great job. I know when me and Commissioner Kennedy took the tour up there a year ago, it was just impressive, the way that the employees worked. I mean, going, all different directions, but it looked like a well-oiled machine. And, it doesn't come easy. I know it takes a lot of training, so we want to make sure, hopefully that we keep long-term employees. So,
yeah, we're doing very well. We appreciate the support we've got here. But
yeah, and if
things are, light at the end of the tunnel's getting a lot brighter.
any question, whatever the study tells us, I mean, it is important that the employees, we look at each and every one of them because you know what, they've been dedicated. My observation is our number one goal is to protect all the employees. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanada. Chad, before we wrap up, I'll just get a feel from my colleagues if they're in approval of, or in agreement with your going to the next step. And then I do think we should probably formalize it. If you gentlemen don't object with a resolution next week, just so we have a record of taking the formal action. One thing I would request would be that if we move forward with the study, that there be extensive consultation with all of our first responders in the county, police, fire, ambulance, emergency personnel, and extensive consultation with our local city, borough, and township officials as well. I think their input will be very valuable, and I'm hoping that whoever we contract with to assist with the study will reach out to all those folks as we move forward. So what I'll ask of Dan and Chris, are you both favorably inclined to allow Chad, in conjunction with his counterpart in Mercer County, to move forward with this with the understanding that we can formalize it a week from today? Are you both in accord with that?
Yes.
Okay, that's great then. I appreciate that.
And to your last point, yeah, we would definitely make sure there was a stipulation with the consultant that they formalize a presentation, that we would have multiple meetings, both public forum with our first responders, with the municipal officials. It'll look like a very big change, but aside from physically where we're at and the governance side of it, there's not much that will be changing, but it'll be a big pill to swallow and understand. So we'll make sure that there's plenty of opportunities for public input, but that public forum virtually, in person, and with the first responders and with the local elected officials.
I appreciate that. I'll ask one other, I'll make a request of you, and if you could just email me this information, and Mr. Sanada, Mr. Kennedy, if you have the opportunity between now and next Tuesday, if you could send us a note letting us know which counties in the Commonwealth already have this type of structure in place, where there are 2 or more counties that have gone together for 911 operations. That would be helpful to me, and I'm sure it would be to Dan and Chris. Anything else, Dan?
No,
Chad?
just, if you're gonna leave, don't leave yet. I got something coming up that you're gonna hear about.
Okay.
We'll need your input on that.
Yeah, if you can stick around, please. Mr. Sanada? Okay. Yeah, Chad, if you wouldn't mind staying. I have a hunch I know what Dan's gonna talk about, so important that you stick around. Thank you so much. That takes us to Commissioner reports and comments, and Mr. Kennedy, you're first today.
Good, you won't have to stay long. Yesterday, I got invited down to Acrisure Stadium, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and what we wanted to talk about was the NFL Draft 2026. It's going to happen in Pittsburgh. And they've asked the 10-county region in Pittsburgh to come to this meeting because with the amount of people they expected to come to Pittsburgh for that 3 days in April 23rd, 24th, and 25th, 2026, they're going to need every one of our helps in the counties out with our public safety. They'll be looking to reach out to you in the next few weeks, I'm sure. But they're going to need help with police officers, sheriff's officers. Talked to Perry this morning. Of course, Perry won't be here next year, but whoever's running will be, and we'll get with them. But they're also, it's going to be so big, they'll be up here in our hotel rooms too. And they want us to reach out to our mass transit and talk to them also, because the less cars they get down there, the better off they're going to be in Pittsburgh. But very informative meeting yesterday, lasted about 3 hours, but they're very well prepared and planning this thing way in advance. And they've already reached out to our tourism board with Janet and Jenny, and then they know what's going on, but they're going to be reaching out to the rest of public safety, our sheriffs, and probably our DA also. So just wanted to let you know, if you get a call from somebody from the Steelers organization, that's probably what it's about.
We've started the discussions internally within Region 13, taking cash the equipment. We've ordered some new equipment at the region level, IT wise, technology, physical equipment, vehicles and stuff. We've started doing training already to get ready for it, but between the 14 counties in the city of Pittsburgh that work so intimately together for emergency management, we've started the process already, and we've had smaller interactions with them. I'm not a golfer, but a big tournament they have down at Oakmont, one of the PGA tournaments.
Yeah, the PGA and.
Yeah, we do that quite often. We've the G20 summit was here a few years ago. We all worked closely together with that. So we have a great working relationship, and we'll offer any assistance we can, personnel, equipment. We'll make sure that we're prepared.
Bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, it's going to be huge.
It is. It's a big undertaking. So I just want to make you, if you weren't, but you are aware of it. Of course, Chad always is on top of it.
We've been talking for a couple of years, about a year now already on, since they made the announcement. We've been just having meetings and making sure that we're staying on top of it and ready to respond to it.
Well, as always, thank you, Chad. Realistically, last week I wasn't here, and I don't have a whole lot else going on, but that, we had a great SBC meeting yesterday also down with Rich Fitzgerald and his whole group. The only other thing, we got awarded a multimodal in Wilmington Township yesterday, the only one in Orange County. So we're happy for them guys up there and getting some more money into the county here, so it'll be good. So Bill's here.
Heard the news, yeah.
Yeah, so so that's nutshell, that's all I got. So Chad, if you want to run out, you're more than welcome to.
All right, yeah, a couple of meetings to get to and meet a vendor. So I appreciate your time and thank you guys.
Thank you, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Get you guys that information on the other regional efforts.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, have a good one.
Dan, I want to thank you for representing us yesterday at the meeting regarding the football draft. Thank you for taking the time to put down for that. Did they say there will be more meetings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have more as we get closer to this.
Let's see, I believe I'm next. Anything else, Dan?
No, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, the award that Wilmington Township received is for the Poverty Point Bridge Project, is that right?
Bridge and road.
Oh, and the road also.
And the road.
Okay, good. That's great.
It's gonna get all repaired.
That's wonderful. I'll note two things before I turn this over to Commissioner Sanada. We'll be announcing it later in the meeting, and the legal ad already appeared, but the Board of Elections, which happens to be the three of us, will have a special meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m. in this room, open to the public. I believe there are at least 2 agenda items. We have to move a polling place. Mr. Germaini will be bringing that to us, and he's also bringing to us a recommendation to change the rate of pay for folks who work on election day at the polling places and here at the courthouse for that one day. So anybody's welcome to attend that meeting at 11 o'clock tomorrow. The only other thing I'll mention, last week I was in Harrisburg for a couple of days. The County of Lawrence, we are members of the County Commissioners Association of Pennsylvania's Workers' Compensation Trust Fund. And they have a board of directors, and I've actually chaired that board for the last 11 years. We elected new officers, and I told them that due to my pending retirement in less than 3 years, I said, I think it's time we choose a new chairperson of the board. I'm going to stay on the board, but the board very wisely elected County Commissioner Jeff Snyder from Clinton County. He's taking my place as chairman of the Workers' Compensation Trust Fund Board. The board only meets 3 times a year, and it's a good board. It's a great professional staff, and that board, the PCOMP, it's called PCOMP, which again is an acronym for the Workers' Compensation Trust Fund. They've implemented over the last 8 or 10 years a safety grant program, and we average about $30,000 a year from that. And it's helped us immensely here at the county level for safety enhancement, which I think I would argue has had a direct effect on our workers' compensation claims, which for the county are actually down. We've had a good couple of years, knock on wood, for a lower number of workers' compensation claims. So let's hope that continues. In fact, I think there are 52 members of PCOMP, and we're well within the top 10 in terms of how well we've done with the lower number of workers' comp claims. So I'm happy to pass that along. Mr. Sonata, what do you have today?
Just a few things. Thank you for your service with PCOM, Chair. By the way, I think that is important. A lot of that stuff, without having someone at the table, I think it is important. All of us, we try to stay active with different groups and organizations throughout the state and at the federal level now. So I just think, your time there was paid dividends for the county over the years. So I'm glad we're reaping that. We've gone, I had an opportunity, I represented the county at the Cornerstone ribbon cutting last Thursday. It's a new business downtown Newcastle, take care of seniors and home health care. I think it's good. Another occupant at the Washington Center right downtown Newcastle, with working with Lord Lawrence. They coordinated that, and I'm very pleased to see something. Anytime we get a new business in downtown Newcastle, it's positive. And we have a new one of the employees moved to Lawrence County out in the Slippery Rock Township area. So that is someone who was from Ohio, just moved there. So that's good. And they are going to employ a lot of home care workers. And they're still in the process of hiring. So those are going to be local employees. So, and hopefully they will grow their business downtown. So I think that was a very positive event. I had an opportunity to represent the county Saturday night in Elway City. Chad was there as well. It was the annual firemen's event for Elwood and first responders down there. And it's always that's my second year of going, and very nice event. Thank all the first responders and for the job they do in our county. They had, I saw Chief Rishel from Mount Shenango was there. They had various other chiefs throughout the county there. So that was really a nice event. I'm glad I was able to represent all of us there. And finally, I had the opportunity yesterday, Commissioner Kennedy shot to Pittsburgh early to do his duties. We thank Dan for that, because that's going to be big for Lawrence County. I know Rich Fitzgerald mentioned that a while back, and he wants us to play an active role in this, and I think it's going to be good that, I sit on the Tourist Promotion Agency, And, working with Janet and Jenny, we want to tap in when those people come to Western Pennsylvania. We want Lawrence County, there's things to see up this end of town, or up this end of the state. We want to tap into that market. So that's just something I think is look like there are a lot of dividends for us. I had a chance to go to Neshannock High School yesterday to represent the county. They had a booth, they had a career and technical day for some of the students. They had a chance to visit with various businesses throughout the county. What was neat about the event, each one of those booths had a student who graduated from Neshannock who was there. A nice young lady who works for the Pittsburgh Pirates now, a 2015 graduate of Neshannock was there. And her booth was right next to ours. I had a good chance, and I saw former Superintendent Humphrey was there. She was representing education. We had Forward Lawrence there, representing the chamber. You had Army recruiters, what they do. And you had numerous businesses there talking to these students to try to get them. These were 10th grade level. And I think that's a good idea because they still have 2 years left of school. I talked to some about, community service and government service. And UPM Jameson was there. I saw a lot of students talking to UPM Jameson and talking to some of the kids. They want to be nurses. I said, we sure could use them. So I told them the opportunities we have at the county level and as well as the state level because, we're always looking for quality when they get the training and the education. So I just thought that was a good event and just conclude that I went down to Pittsburgh for the actual SPC meeting at 4 o'clock as I sit on the board as well with Commissioner Vogler and Kennedy. And Mr. Kennedy's our lead person on the executive board down there. So I thought we had a pretty long meeting yesterday, an hour and a half, but I thought it was very helpful. We had a full presentation on the effects of the budget presented to us, and we also had some transportation issues discussed. What's coming in the future. So we're in sort of an orbit right now. We just need to keep up on the education and know what's happening from our perspective. What affects what's happening in Washington, D.C. and Harrisburg is going to have on our budget for next year and the services that we provide that are vital. So that was pretty much my week, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Chris, and to both my colleagues, thank you for representing the board for these various external activities. Much appreciated. We'll move on to new business, and we have Mike and Bill this morning from CYS. It looks like Bill's going to take the lead, Bill Blows. Bill, always glad to have you here.
Thank you.
We appreciate your joining us. You have a proposed resolution. What number would this be?
46.
Number 46, and according to the agenda, this is an agreement with an organization known as Northwest Media, Inc. Bill, can you give us some background on this, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, commissioners, for having me here today. My name is Bill Blows, and I'm the foster and kinship supervisor over at CYS. And Northwest Media is the company, but the training is Foster Parent College. So this is an online training program where all of our kinship and foster parents go online to do their required training. The state requires that all foster and kinship parents get 6 training hours a year towards their recertification. We had found through research and, during the COVID years and whatnot, that this was the best and most efficient training program online that our foster parents and kinship could do, and especially with work schedules. And it is just very helpful to them to be able to do their trainings online when needed. We had a 86% positive feedback that the material was good, it was time well spent, and it worked out with their family lives and their work schedules. On the sheet, you have the required trainings for all the new applicants and some of the annual topics that were selected during that time. And every year, it seems Foster Parent College is looking for new topics to address to come with the times. But we figured, I believe the fee, and Mike knows from the contract, I think it's pretty much the same as last year, isn't it, Mike?
It actually went down.
Did it go down? Okay. So we've been been within the 4,000 range for the total year within the contract. And I apologize if my numbers aren't 100% accurate, but I kind of went off last year and we were around $412 per person. That's about what it costs per person to do their 1 credit of training. It's been very positive. It's been very accurate to our foster parents. They love the training. They're meeting their hours, and we continue to have positive state inspections based on meeting all the requirements. So we're hoping that we can continue using this program moving forward.
Well, Bill, thank you for your helpful information and bringing this to us for our consideration. I just have one question before I turn it over to my colleagues, and perhaps either you or Mike might know the answer to this. With CYS, so much of the funding that comes from the Commonwealth, more often than not, it's either 80-20, 80 from the Commonwealth, 20 from the county, or sometimes 90-10. Would that be applicable to this dollar amount, to your knowledge? Does the state help pay for this, or does this come strictly out of the county? And if you don't know, it's not.
I don't know, but I can find out.
Okay, it's not, I don't need to know right away. Obviously, I'm assuming the state picks up part of it, but if you could let us know that, please.
Yeah, I believe it might come from our training.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume if the state requires that, then I would think, but I'll.
Okay, if you could let us know if they pay a portion of it.
Yeah, I'll talk to the fiscal.
The resolution states that it's a $4,200 expenditure, so whenever you have a chance, it's at your convenience, so thank you. Commissioner Sanada, any questions for Bill or Mike?
No, I think it's very thorough. Thank you, Bill.
Well, Chris, thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, gentlemen, would one of you care to make a motion for Resolution 46?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dan and Chris. Any further questions for our two gentlemen? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Vanessa. Thanks to both of you. As we always say, you're welcome to stick around, but if you have to head back up the street, we understand.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, gentlemen, very much. Next on the agenda, we have, and Bill, I'm a little bit embarrassed. We have Bill Humphrey from Taylor
Okay.
Engineering. If Bill, if you wouldn't mind coming up. Bill's represents the company that serves as the county's engineer, and as we've noted many times in the past, the county owns, I always say 20, I sometimes say 27, but we're in the same ballpark. We have 27 or 28 bridges. And the reason I apologize to you, if I'd have known that what we're talking about is simply a damaged guide rail, I probably wouldn't have asked you to be here. However, now that you're here and we're talking about a particular bridge, maybe you can give us an update on the status of it. What we're talking about is the Cook's Crossing Bridge in Little Beaver Township. And I believe it's on Scott Wallace Road. Is that right? But it's known as
Wallace Road.
Yes, so it goes by either name, and that crosses the Little Beaver Creek. And yes, and this bridge is one of our oldest bridges.
Yes.
So actually, what you're asking for today is very simple. You're asking for authorization to complete the guide rail repair work at the bridge. The quote is $7,260. And Bill, would this come out of our liquid fuels account? Okay.
Or Act 44, any bridge fund.
Would you give us any more details specifically on the guide rails, but also, if you're able to, can you give us an update on the status? Because we are going to be ultimately replacing the bridge. Can you tell us what you know?
We're in the design phase of the bridge. It's a historic bridge. The project's been going on for quite a while. We had to get through some clearances because of its historic nature and the structure. Nowadays they want you to try and preserve these trusses. We had to go through studies to whether we can rehab it like it in its current state or do some type of hybrid design that you
build a conventional bridge, then you take the trusses, the decorative trusses, and somehow mount them on the outside of the bridge in non-structural nature to kind of retain the historic character of the look of that bridge. So that's the direction we're headed. That took a lot of time back and forth with the HMC coming to that final conclusion of the hybrid replacement alternative. So you're gonna have a brand new bridge, good structurally sound bridge with the decorative trusses attached on the outside. And we're in the design phase, and we hope to have a new bridge in there within 2 to 3 years.
And
Working with PennDOT.
yes, PHMC stands for Pennsylvania Historical Museum Commission. My recollection is that the nearest major road to this bridge would be State Route 351, which again is in Little Beaver Township. So no, I appreciate the update. Forgive me for being part of you. Sound like you're a little under the
A
weather.
little bit.
I hope we didn't take out, I hope you weren't gonna take the day off.
It's going around.
It is, there's some folks in this room who've had it, but Bill, I apologize, and it's my fault. If I'd have known it was simply the guide rail thing, I wouldn't have asked you to.
No, not a problem.
But-
Always good to come down.
Well, and we greatly appreciate it. And again, it gave you the chance to update us. I'm gonna see if Commissioner Kennedy has any questions.
None at all, it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you, Dan. Commissioner Sanada.
Bill, is this remember we did the bridge tour? This is the one, how many cars go over this bridge every day?
They say 100, but some will probably be 50 and 100, I'd say.
I remember because it was out.
School buses used in the township.
Right, that's the one that they need for the school bus. Am I correct in that?
A low volume bridge.
Yeah, if I remember saying that. It's not our most low volume bridge.
Probably not.
That was
That's
on
right.
the,
Belfast.
Belf Avenue. How's that bridge doing?
It's gonna need a little few repairs. We're trying to get the ball rolling, to either get it replaced or some other alternative there.
I remember that was the one, it's the classic bridge. I think we need more discussion on that one before we move forward.
It depends on what you say, they'll have an opinion on it too.
All right, thank you. I know
They're using their funds, so they have a say.
I thought the bridge tour was very helpful for me, being able to see these bridges. I never, a lot of times, some of these bridges weren't in my old legislative district, so I didn't know they were out
This
there.
bridge is over 100 years old.
Well, I like the one you have on Wilmington Township, though. That's a classic bridge. Is that the Dan Kennedy Bridge down there? I wasn't sure. Okay.
We don't name bridges.
That's a beautiful bridge, and the bridge out at McConnell's Mills. I know we had talked about the, while you're here, when we took the bridge tour about the entrance and the Chairman
Yeah,
voted that out.
we're
We working on that?
yeah, so I think we wanted to coordinate with the county because they have a paving project out
You
there.
mean the township?
No, the county has a dirt and gravel road.
Oh, the conservation district. Yes, that's right.
So they have a project, and I'm saying, we want to see where their project ended, or if they cover those projects, if they,
I think slippery off my.
I think we're gonna. So I don't think it comes all the way down to the bridge, we may have to do a separate, little paving approach there.
Okay, now that's something we talked about.
Bell Simon has a rough approach too, so this, we'll get some things going in this construction season.
Anything else,
No,
Chris?
that's all I have. Thank you, Bill.
No problem.
Bill, one other final note on the Cook's Crossing Bridge in Little Beaver Township, the North Country Trail actually crosses that bridge. Yeah, so when we do have the closing, the trail will be cut off for a little period of time.
Right.
Well, thanks again. I feel bad that you don't feel well, and
No need to apologize.
we appreciate always your joining us. Take care, Bill.
Yep.
Yes, sir. And you're welcome to head out if you need to, please. Okay.
Thanks.
We have one transfer request that has come to us from the tax claim office. Oh, I'm sorry, did I miss something? Oh, we need to vote on that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This is resolution 47. Thanks for catching me. Proposed resolution 47, which would authorize the guide rail repair work at Cook's Crossing Bridge in Little Beaver Township. The quote is for $7,260. It will be paid for by the bridge account for the county's liquid fuel funds. May I have a motion for Resolution 47?
I'll make that.
I'll second.
Thank you both, gentlemen. Any final questions? If not, we'll take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have a transfer request from the tax claim office. They would like to take $1,500 from their contingency line item and forward it into travel and training. That's the only request we have. Could I have a motion for its approval?
I move for we approve it.
I'll second.
And do either of you have any questions about it? Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes?
Motion carries.
Thank you. We have on the table a repository bid. Vanessa, do we have a number assigned to it, or do you?
Yes, it's 25.
Number 25, thank you. We had to table it. We were waiting actually for some formal documentation, and actually we had hoped to approve it last Tuesday, but actually the one taxing body, the Wilmington Area School Board, met last Tuesday night, and after we had met. So what we have in front of us are approvals from both Pulaski Township and the Wilmington Area School Board. This is a $500 bid made by Paul Maldonado. I hope I pronounced his last name right. It's for a parcel at 113 Elm Drive in Pulaski Township. The Pulaski Township supervisors approved it on February 11, and we have their signature page. And then the Wilmington Area School District approved it on, or it was signed on February 18th. So it's now up to us, and if all three taxing bodies approve it, the bid can be accepted. The parcel ID number is 29-901-032. And again, it's in the township of Pulaski. Chris, any questions?
No, we've been waiting for it. We got it. It's time to move it on.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Would one of you care to make a motion? Oh, we need a motion to take it off the table, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you both. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. That motion carries. It's now off the table. It's now ready for consideration. This is Resolution 25. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
Thank you both. Gentlemen, any final conversation about it? If not, we'll ask Vanessa to call the roll.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. That takes us to announcements. It's not printed here, but we already made note of it, that tomorrow at 11 a.m., the Board of Elections, which happens to be the three of us, will hold a public meeting in this room. And Mr. Germaini has a couple of items that he needs us to consider. That takes us to public comment. We have two folks in the room. Are there any public comments at this time? Hearing none. Thank you both. Closing comments from my fellow commissioners. I'll start with Commissioner Sanada.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Commissioner Kennedy. By the way, welcome back. And you look very healthy. You have a little bit of
Had a
sun.
great time.
That's great. That's I'm glad you did. Joe or Vanessa, anything that we need to know?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Both. Well, thank you all for being here today. Debbie, I have your packet. And if there being no other business to be brought before the board, this morning. May I have an adjournment motion?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye, opposed, the same sign, and motion carries. This meeting's adjourned. Joe, can you disconnect us over here? We're still on record at this point. Joe. Thanks, Joe.
Does anybody want to